Sausage.
Hello everyone, this is Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Marc, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Rime, a game where you play as the boy from Eco chasing the beans from Journey while Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog leads you along the way. Spirited Away's No-Face is a no-show, but their siblings show up in force to sometimes cower in fear and sometimes howl you if you get near. And for all you Vin Diesel fans, multiple Iron Giants show up that are probably not made of iron and definitely not voiced or fueled by Diesel, Vin, or otherwise. Jokes aside, Rime is a beautiful game about moving on and letting go, with one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Rime originally came out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One on May 26, 2017, and made its way to Switch 6 months later on November 14, 2017. Well, I was not expecting this. Honestly, I wasn't expecting anything. I went into Rime blinder than most games I've played for Attack the Backlog. I only vaguely knew what kind of game it was, a puzzle platformer, but that was as far as my knowledge went. I knew nothing about the story, what the gameplay actually entailed, or of any big or memorable moments. I don't know if it's because I knew so little going in, or just the game itself. If I'm going to go ahead and say it's the latter, but I had such a wonderful time with Rime from start to finish with not a single bump in the road, and it all starts with the music. The music of Rime sets the tone immediately and carries the game throughout its roughly 4-hour journey, not including time spent looking for collectibles and the like. It's somber, sometimes haunting, sometimes uplifting, and always powerful. There was no way I was going to disengage with the game because the music drew me in so strongly and so deeply. It made sad moments sadder, the sensation of accomplishment greater, and when your life is in danger, it makes things scary. The soundtrack is perfect and the heart of Rime. Without it, the game would be a lesser experience. Without it, the game would have been good, but not great. Good, but not special. Good, but forgettable. Instead, the game is great. It is special, and it's a game I won't soon forget. I won't go so far as to say it's one of the greatest of all time contenders, though it might be with time, but the soundtrack most certainly is. It's right up there with the likes of To the Moon, and if you know me, you know that's the highest praise I can give to a soundtrack. But no game can succeed thanks to music alone, and Rime is no different. While much of what you're doing is pretty basic and simple, it's a puzzle platformer through and through. None of the puzzles ask you to think too hard, and none of the platforming requires twitch-like reflexes, but they get the job done in order to keep you engaged with the game and constantly pushing forward to see where the story is going, and that's all they need to do. At no point will your progress stall and the momentum die from the game forcing you to make some crazy string of jumps, nor will the game ever put a puzzle in front of you that leaves you scratching your head for 10 plus minutes. The majority of gameplay involves jumping from here to there, jumps you'd have to try hard to fail at, though if you do miss a jump for whatever reason, the game has a very generous checkpoint system, and at least in my case, the game reloaded me right where I was at the point of failure, so you'll never have to replay a long section if you make a mistake. In addition to your basic platforming, which includes occasional climbing, shimmering along edges, and jumping from ledge to ledge, you'll also find yourself in a few situations where you have to avoid enemies, whether that be through hiding in shadows / under structures, or by creating light with these little balls in order to clear a pathway. Then there are the puzzles, which are simple and range from rotating a switch in order to align shadows in the right position, to looking through a viewfinder-like structure to align pieces of the environment together in order to open doors. It's all simple stuff and might not sound that engaging, but the entire game, the music, the gameplay, the visuals, everything is a vehicle for the story, a story that's a mystery until the very end. That's not to say the ending was a surprise. It's easy to figure out what's going on from a general standpoint, but it's when every piece falls into place that the real gut punch of Rime hits you, though admittedly, I was a bit sadder when I lost a certain friend along the way, so much so that I put the controller down and just sat there, staring at my screen, knowing what was about to happen as soon as I stepped a few more spaces ahead. I wanted to postpone that farewell as long as I could, even though I knew I would have to make the hard decision in order to keep progressing. It's not easy for a game to move me the way Rime moved me, but Rime succeeds in doing so because it's not just about the story being told, but the story of your personal journey within it and how you attach yourself to the world and the beings who inhabit it. I do think it helps that I went into it knowing basically nothing, but even so, Rime is such a beautiful and well-crafted game that I have no doubts I'd feel the same if that wasn't the case. I don't really know what else to say. So much of why I loved Rime is tied to the story and the various moments scattered throughout, a story I don't want to spoil for any potential new player. Just know that Rime is a game that made me fall in love with it from the very first second I started playing, a love that only grew as I played more and continues to grow as I think about it and reflect upon my experience with it. It's games like Rime that remind me of why I love this industry and love gaming, because every now and again a game will come out of nowhere and surprise you with the kind of beauty and the kind of experience that only a game can deliver. Rime is one such game for me, and I hope if you haven't played it and choose to after watching or listening to this, it ends up being one such game for you too. No bono required. Anyway, that will do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marc. Y'all can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere at PXSausage. The site is, of course, pixelatedsausage.com, where you can find this podcast, the Pixelated Sausage Podcast, and on Amazingly Baka, all of which are available on podcast services across the globe. You can also check out the video version of this show over at youtube.com/pixelatedsausage. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell, all that jazz. You know what to do. Or don't, that's fine too, but it would be greatly appreciated if you did that. If you'd like to check out the art I make, you can go back to the site, pixelatedsausage.com, and if you see something you like, you can purchase a print of the piece you fancy. And if you fancy the site in general and anything that we do, please go over to patreon.com/pxs and support us that way. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I really hope, more so than in most episodes, that if you haven't played Rime, this has inspired you to check it out, because it really is a special little game, and I can't recommend it highly enough. But again, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.